Hello and welcome to the U.S. Immigration News. As we reach the end of November 2025, many immigrants, workers, students, and families are looking back on the month wondering what truly changed, what finally moved forward, and what new challenges have emerged. Some cases saw long-awaited approvals, while others were slowed down by new internal reviews, hardened policies under the Trump administration, and emerging shifts from USCIS and the Department of State. And now, as the month closes, people are trying to make sense of what comes next and what this month's developments realistically mean for their immigration journeys. In this video, we'll bring you a complete and clear end-of-month review for November 2025, focusing on approvals, denials, processing changes, and the key policy shifts that shape this month for immigrants across the United States and around the world. As November began, families were already feeling the effects of the Trump administration's tighter oversight on immigration workflows. USCIS had rolled out new internal review layers for family petitions, tougher financial checks for the I-864 affidavit of support, and stricter scrutiny of marriage-based cases. But in the middle of all these pressures, November also brought brief windows of hope. For several weeks, scattered service centers began moving faster on I-130 family petitions and I-485 adjustments of status. These improvements weren't dramatic, but they were real. People who had been waiting for more than a year finally saw their cases move to actively reviewed, and some received long-awaited approvals that felt like a breakthrough after months of silence. However, even with these positive movement patterns, the month was overshadowed by the rise in denials connected to missing evidence, outdated forms, or incomplete financial documentation. USCIS continued enforcing its new hard stop policy, which gives officers the authority to deny cases immediately once a key requirement is missing. This meant that families hoping for an RFE to fix a small mistake were instead being told they had to redo their entire filings. Immigration attorneys described November as a month when the system became less forgiving, and applicants had to be more precise and more prepared than ever. At the same time, the National Visa Center became one of the month's biggest sources of cautiously good news. After months of slow document review and heavy backlogs, NVC quietly reduced its review timelines and began pushing more cases forward, especially marriage-based immigrant visas and immediate relative categories. Document review times that had previously taken 10 to 12 weeks started falling closer to 6 weeks for many case types. Families from India, Mexico, and the Philippines saw long-stalled cases finally marked as documentarily qualified. This shift helped set up new interview scheduling momentum at U.S. embassies abroad. Several U.S. consulates reported increased interview availability this month, especially in Manila, Mumbai, Ciudad Juarez, and Montreal, the busiest immigrant visa posts. Even though the increases were not massive, they were noticeable. Interview openings for December and early 2026 appeared earlier than expected, suggesting that staffing adjustments and updated appointment workflows were beginning to have a real impact. For families waiting abroad, especially those separated for years, this small increase in capacity was one of the month's brightest developments. But alongside this good news, embassies also strengthened their security checks, especially in countries experiencing high document fraud rates. Administrative processing remained a major obstacle for many applicants, with some cases moving quickly and others stuck for unpredictable periods. November showed that additional checks are becoming more common, and applicants need to be prepared for longer post-interview delays if their case triggers any verification requirements. The combination of slightly faster scheduling but stricter security layers created a difficult but important contrast in this month's consular landscape. Back in the U.S., USCIS continued its internal efforts to stabilize its automated systems, something that has affected nearly every case type this year. Work permits, I-765, were one of the clearest examples of improvement in November. Earlier this year, applicants were waiting 5 to 7 months for their EAD cards, but by late November, many applicants saw approvals within 60 to 90 days. The system's improved reliability helped push through hundreds of pending work authorization requests, allowing applicants to begin or resume employment after months of uncertainty. Advance parole, I-131, also showed signs of recovery. Several field offices cleared old applications that had been stuck since early this year. Applicants who had been told to expect delays suddenly received notices showing that their travel documents were approved. This progress offered emotional relief for immigrants who had been unable to travel to see aging parents or attend important family events abroad. The month also brought a significant headline when the Supreme Court agreed to fast-track a major immigration case involving family-based immigration. This decision, rare and highly significant, marked one of November's biggest news moments. By accelerating the case, the court signaled that it is willing to examine whether agencies like USCIS and the NVC are processing cases within reasonable limits, or if their current delays violate the rights of families seeking reunification. The outcome of this case could reshape how family petitions are handled throughout 2026 and beyond, making November 2025 a crucial turning point. Meanwhile, the Trump administration continued introducing quiet but important policy discussions inside federal agencies. Updates were being explored related to affidavit of support rules, public charge evaluations, and stricter income requirements for sponsors. Although these were not finalized in November, their presence in internal meetings sent a message about the administration's intention to tighten financial rules around family-based immigration. For families already struggling with income thresholds, November brought another layer of uncertainty about what 2026 may hold. Green card applicants in employment-based categories also felt the month's mixed signals. The visa bulletin showed limited forward movement, particularly for EB2 and EB3, which inched forward only slightly. Still, the lack of retrogression was viewed as a relief. Many had feared a backward slide under the Trump administration, but November's stable bulletin indicated that employment categories were holding strong for now. Throughout the month, deportation enforcement also expanded. Homeland Security and IC increased operations targeting visa overstays and criminal removals. These actions contributed to heightened anxiety among undocumented immigrants and some people with pending cases. Even though many of these operations did not directly affect family-based applicants, the overall tone of immigration enforcement in November added pressure and fear to immigrant communities nationwide. As we look at the full picture of November 2025, one thing becomes clear. This month was a mix of progress and pressure. On one side, there were faster approvals at USCIS, reduced document review times at the NVC, months-long cases finally moving, and new interview slots opening around the world. On the other side, new rules, stricter financial scrutiny, increased denials, and expanding enforcement created new challenges. It was a month defined by contrast, hope and hardship moving side by side. For many immigrants, November offered something they haven't had in a long time: signs that the system is still capable of progress. Small improvements can create big emotional relief, especially for families who have been separated for years or for applicants whose futures depend on a single USCIS update. At the same time, the month's policy shifts remind us that preparation and vigilance are necessary because the rules are getting tougher and mistakes are becoming more costly. As December approaches, the immigration community is watching the Supreme Court case, observing new proposals from the Trump administration, and hoping that USCIS and the NVC will continue improving their processing workflows. Families remain hopeful that 2026 will bring more stability, clearer rules, and faster timelines. But November shows that change will come slowly, moving through small improvements rather than major reform. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas, such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration News Channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.